And so if you're really clear on who you are and that your intentionality is to unleash, I use that word,
Yeah.
unleash the potential. I've heard people use other words, and they all kind of get at the same thing, that people have a unique potential. And how are you unleashing that? And your intentionality is to get the best ideas, the genius that exists in everyone. And it isn't to be the smartest person in the room. More leaders doing that, regardless of the size of the organization, and your culture changes. And
Right.
there's a lot we can talk about being intentional about your culture, but I think a lot of it has to do with human connection, collaboration, and starting with their intent and their own integrity to drive positive outcomes.
Yeah. Oh, I like this. And it's so the unleashing piece, and that's a word that jumped out to me as I was prepping for this, because that unleashing piece is, and I think we both believe the same thing. It's like we have these unique gifts of who we are inside of us, and we're bringing these out into the world. So when we are working with someone, we're coaching someone, when we have an employee, and I know you even like to use the word coaching a lot for corporate relationships. That you're coaching your employees, because when we're really unleashing that full human potential, there's so much expansion there versus we're managing, we're directing, we're guiding somebody. It's a whole different thing when we're letting what's inside someone come forth and be bigger. Hello, my extraordinary women friends. As we head towards Extraordinary Women Ignite this November, I'm reminded again and again, relationships are everything. In a world full of noise, what cuts through is presence, authenticity, and the ability to really listen and connect. That's why this year's Ignite will be such a powerful room to be in. Imagine spending 3 days surrounded by women entrepreneurs, change makers, and leaders who are showing up to grow not just their business, but their voice, their vision, and their impact. If you haven't grabbed your ticket yet, head to CamiGellner.com/ignite and use the code EWR and get $200 off of your ticket. You belong in this room, my friend. Today's guest, my friend Jennifer Colosimo, is someone who truly walks her talk when it comes to leadership, growth, and impact. Jennifer is the president of FranklinCovey's enterprise division, leading global growth in over 160 countries. She's co-authored books with Stephen R. Covey, spoken on stages around the globe, and been recognized as one of Denver's outstanding women in business and a 2025 Titan 100. But what I love most about Jennifer is the way she leads with empathy, curiosity, and connection. At a time when AI is shifting how we work, she believes our greatest advantage is our humanity. In this episode, Jennifer shares why better questions, not more answers, are key to unlocking potential in others, and how every conversation can become a coaching moment when we lead with presence and trust. Whether you are leading a team, running your own company, or guiding your clients, you'll walk away with so many nuggets of wisdom to help you grow others and grow yourself. Let's dive in and meet Jennifer Colosimo. Well, welcome to Extraordinary Women Radio, Jennifer. I am so excited to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Cami. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, it's been, you and I have known each other for a long time, and it's like, I don't know why I've never had you on. So I'm just thrilled to have you on and just to hear a bit of your story, and then to really dive into just how we're raising up human potential. I feel like I love how you talk about it. And I think, I'm just excited to dive deeper into it with you. So, first of all, let's just dive into, you've held leadership roles around the world, and you now lead global growth at FranklinCovey, which is an amazing role. I mean, just how exciting that is just to have that role. Tell us a little bit about your personal story and the experiences that led you to this place.
So, I like to say I've been working now for 40 something years, but that includes, Cami, my first job at Taco Time. So, but have been working and out of graduate school, I started with Accenture. So I've been in human performance, the people performance. I was on the people side at Accenture for a lot of years. And when I first joined what was then called the Covey Leadership Center, it was a small privately held company that Stephen Covey founded with the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. My first role was helping with the merger with a public company that was called Franklin Quest. And so I worked on mergers, and then over the years,
So how long ago was that, Jennifer?
90s.
In the 90s. Wow.
90s.
Wow.
I have done nearly every role at FranklinCovey. I was there for 15 years, and I'm one of those people who sees something that's interesting, a problem to solve, an opportunity, and looks at how what I've done could help do that. So I was there 15 years, and then I had 5 years at DaVita, which is a healthcare organization based where we're both based, and worked in their human performance side. At the time, they had a group called the Wisdom Team. I do have to say that's my most unique title. When I was given Vice President of Wisdom, I never felt like I could live up to it.
I love it.
Never felt like I could live up to it, but is such a great organization, very culture and leadership focused. And then I came back to FranklinCovey 9 years ago and have led different parts of our commercial organization. Now our enterprise division, I'm the president, so we have 6 direct offices around the globe and about 60 partners that represent FranklinCovey in their countries.
That's awesome. What an amazing journey. And the fact that you've been with them for so long, I think that just is, I mean, and been in all the different roles. So that just really speaks to, one, your commitment to that type of work, because it is such good work. I mean, I've done lots of FranklinCovey work personally, and it's just intricate into how I show up, and I lead, and how I manage my time, and all of the things, right? So I love FranklinCovey work. Let's talk about today, as far as like, where do you see these the greatest opportunities for growth, and how we develop people today, and what's happening, what's shifting?
Well, a couple of shifts have been a long time coming, but of course, right now we're in the midst of AI. Right? We are in the midst of AI. And my personal belief is thinking that it won't matter is sort of like thinking the internet wouldn't matter, right?
Exactly.
It's shifting. Here. It's here, and it's going to continue to shift everything. And so when you think about people and organizations, what is uniquely human? And what is, to use the DaVita title, what is uniquely human wisdom that really will work with AI for the future? And I think that requires leaders to be even more human.
Yeah.
To be even more human. Obviously, you've been advocating for this as long as I've known you. So many of your listeners, I'm sure, are passionate about it. And really, when you put that with our turbulent environment, I think talking about change management is outdated. You have to have an ongoing change capability. How are things today compared to yesterday?
Exactly.
And in the midst of all that, how do we build connection, a level of trust that isn't based on stability, that's based on continuous change? I think that's our unique challenge right now.
Yeah, I like it so much. And so the being human as leaders, what does that, let's get into that. What does that mean?
Well, I think one of the things that's so important to me is that as a leader, you're really clear on who you are and your intent, and that you're intentional all day. Otherwise, you fall into, I think, a trap of not recognizing, I'm not listening, I'm not communicating, I'm not collaborating because this threatens my ego.
Oh, kind of, it gets shut down.
Yeah. You're not thinking, Well, that kind of threatens me and I might not get enough credit. Or I'm fearful I won't look smart enough. Or my value is in having the answer. And so if you're really clear on who you are and that your intentionality is to unleash, I use that
Mm-hmm.
word,
Yeah.
unleash the potential. I've heard people use other words, but and they all kind of get at the same thing, that people have a unique potential.
Right.
And how are you unleashing that? And your
Mm-hmm.
intentionality is to get the best ideas, the genius that exists in everyone. And it isn't to be the smartest person in the room. More leaders doing that, regardless of the size of the organization, and your culture changes.
Right.
There's a lot we can talk about being intentional about your culture, but I think a lot of it has to do with human connection, collaboration, and starting with their intent and their own integrity to drive positive outcomes.
Yeah, I like this, and it's so the unleashing piece, and that's a word that jumped out to me as I was prepping for this, because that unleashing piece is, and you and I think we both believe the same thing. It's like we have these unique gifts of who we are inside of us, and we're bringing these out into the world. So when we are working with someone, we're coaching someone, when we have an employee, and I know you even like to use the word coaching a lot for corporate relationships. That you're coaching your employees, because when we're really unleashing that full human potential, there's so much expansion there versus we're managing, we're directing, we're guiding somebody. It's a whole different thing when we're letting what's inside someone come forth and be bigger.
Yes, yes. And what there's kind of two, I think, massive benefits.
Mm-hmm.
One, um, as a leader, when you care a lot, and I'm not saying you absorb the emotion,
Mm-hmm.
and you and I have discussed this. I make a total distinction between a professional coach, with all the skills and capabilities, having had several myself, and just communicating like a coach as a leader, which
Mm-hmm.
means I believe you have potential. And a lot of times the answer is within you, or I'll get a better answer by asking really insightful questions
Mm-hmm.
than
Mm-hmm.
just giving you the answer. Sometimes you have to tell people there's a safety issue, there's a big legal issue, there's a risk. But are we pausing to really look at what that person could bring and what might come up on one side just because it's the right human thing to do? On the other side, we're all worried about our organizations being the most productive, driving growth. If I have more unleashed people, won't that be better for the organization? I'm not just caring a lot, I expect a lot.
Right. There's actually statistics behind that, right? That point to organizations perform better. I mean, I was seeing some of those statistics, and it was quite impressive.
Yes, I mean, so I use these a lot. I'll quote some of the ones I use. Gallup found that managers who have frequent coaching conversations, which really means you're asking good questions and you're listening with curiosity and
Mm-hmm.
empathy versus
Mm-hmm.
immediately going to solve or tell, they see 21% higher employee performance and 39% lower turnover. So whether you're doing it because it's the right thing, which I think it is,
Mm-hmm.
or you're doing it because it's the right thing and it unleashes higher performance and great metrics for your organization. I like both motivations together,
Right.
but
Exactly.
regardless, it's a critical skill set.
Yeah, I agree. When you talk about asking, it's not about asking just more questions, but better questions. Go a little bit deeper into that. Like, go into what is a good question to help your team members, I mean, even your clients. I mean, for those listening and that are coaches and consultants, what are the good questions?
Well, and knowing many of your listeners that are coaches and consultants, they likely have a whole list where they're trying to figure out how to tap into something for their particular client,
Mm-hmm.
and they know things that get to a unique place with some
Mhm.
people when they're ready for it. It's interesting that you ask, and I'll answer, but there are so many books on asking good questions.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, if you just Google it, so many are asking. For me, it's one that is obviously not closed. There's the easy part,
Mhm.
but where you're trying to tap into what they're seeing. So, for example, when someone comes and says, "So, Jen, what would you do about this?" So, tell me what you've done in similar situations in the past that's worked for you.
Right. Right.
What might get in your way of that working here? Have you thought through what other resources you might need? Just simply, part of it is, are you curious,
Yeah.
truly,
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
what they have? And personally, I think intent counts more than technique. If you're trying to ask questions in a way that you're hoping they guess the right answer because you know the right answer and you're hoping that these questions get them there, that's not the intent. The intent
Right.
is, what does this person have that and it makes them more confident in their capability, which therefore makes everything more capable.
Yeah.
So I mean, insightful is you're really trying to get at what they have inside of them
Mhm.
and not guide them to a particular end or pepper them with questions. You've then got to listen to what they say
Right. Right. Very important.
and
Yeah.
not be thinking, well, okay, so
Yeah.
my next question will be, but what does that say and what does that lead you to? I think it requires heart and
Yeah.
intentionality.
Yeah. Yeah. And that deep listening is going to open up to you knowing that person in a bigger way and seeing more of their potential. If you're really, one of the bodies of questioning I love to use is appreciative inquiry, where
Yes.
it's a, a strength story. It's like, tell me about a time when, this really worked well. What was it that happened then? What was it about you that contributed to that situation? So you're starting to pull out more of their essence and their strengths and their gifts to what they can contribute to something, and in finding those similarities that across different times, and that can be really powerful as well. And again,
Really powerful.
expansive, right? Very
That's what
expansive.
we're looking for, is an expansive conversation. And I think some of the things that get in the way in the workplace
Mm-hmm.
when you're
Mm-hmm.
someone's official leader is time.
Yeah.
I don't have time for this conversation. I'm just going to tell them what to do without thinking about, right, but if I tapped into their capability, that saves me time down the line,
Mm-hmm.
right? Time, and as I mentioned, fear and ego. I'm
Yeah.
valued for knowing the answer. What if I look like I don't know? There's only one right answer versus what if there's multiple, and this could be a very creative way to get to a solution. And then I think the other one I see a lot
Mm-hmm.
is fear that empathy means I take on your emotion
Mm.
versus, especially a leader who's already, we read a lot about it. So many are struggling themselves with a level of burnout or close to. And the last thing I need is more emotion,
Right.
where really empathy is that you deeply understand
Right.
their emotion, their experience, their thoughts. It doesn't mean you have to absorb it or become
Exactly.
a therapist,
Right. Right. But you're
which is a
you
different
have
skill.
empathy, you're hearing, you're acknowledging, you're making that space for that person, but you're not wearing it. It's not, coming into you. You actually are able to just be in that space holding that.
Holding that, which is so
Mm-hmm.
powerful. And I know, so many of your listeners from listening to your other guests, they have that skill set as
Mm-hmm.
part of their profession.
Right.
And I also work with they could be managers, mid-level, senior level leaders that this isn't natural for them. and they're obviously focused on the financials and the operational component and the commercial component, and they're not seeing how even in the age of AI, what we really bring is that ability to get connection and tap into what is unique human creativity and collaboration. And so it's a unique skill to try to communicate as a coach when you're not trained as such.
Right. Right. That absolutely. It takes practice to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the question that's coming up for me is is around trust. So when you think about what's happening and what has happened in organizations over the course of, many years, people that have been in organizations, the shift to, I think, less trust within organizations. Would
Oh,
you
yeah.
agree that's true?
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about how we create more trust within organizations and even communities of people. It's like, how do we create trust in a way that just becomes an inherent part of belonging within an organization or a community?
Such a good question. And I will be using, obviously, based on the company that I'm with, what's really informed what I'm about to say is
Mm-hmm.
Steve and M.R. Covey's work on the speed of trust.
Mm-hmm.
That's really informed my thinking as well as others on
Mm-hmm.
trust. I truly believe that building trust is a behavioral component. You can learn how to build trust. And if you start at the organization or community level, it's going the wrong way. It's
Mm-hmm.
like a stone thrown in the water,
Mm-hmm.
and it starts with you.
Right.
Are you trustworthy? Your intent, your integrity, your capability, your results. And then it goes to the relationship between you and I.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do I treat you with respect? Do I
Right.
demonstrate empathy? Do I talk straight and create expectation? You knew the expectations and I held you to them,
Mm-hmm.
but you knew them,
Yep.
right? There's all of these behaviors that build relationship trust. And out of that, you can more effectively build team, organizational, ripple to market, societal, community. And if you just go community and not a for profit or not for profit organization, how are the relationships in there building a culture that then ripples out into the community?
Yeah.
And I think organizations need to recognize that building trust isn't a soft skill.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It reduces costs because you and I aren't emailing everybody to CYA.
Right. Right.
It increases speed, and it means that we will be able to have more unleashing kinds of conversations, because if I don't trust your intent,
Right.
I don't trust you communicating as a coach either.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that it's that one-on-one relationship that starts it, and it's never from the organizational umbrella down. It's really from how people are behaving and with one another, and showing up for one another.
And showing up for one another. I mean, we and I personally work with a lot of organizations who do trust work, and they want to sometimes just say, well, we acquired 3 other organizations and we want to create a culture of trust, so what do we do organizationally? And we always start with you, your relationships, your team, and then it can go into organizational processes that do or not, structure, systems. But I think if you
Mm-hmm.
start at the structure system and don't think about the interactions of the humans,
Mm-hmm.
you'll
Mm-hmm.
have limited results.
Right. Really starting with that humanity piece again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I like that. Um, for women leaders who want to lead with more intention and connection, but they get caught in all the things they're doing, right? I mean, they're doing, and we see that happening. What
Mm-hmm.
guidance would you offer someone that is just balancing so many things, and they're like, oh my gosh, how do I slow down? How do I make space for this?
I get this question a lot, and I ask myself this question
Right.
sometimes, Kimmy.
Right. Yeah.
Um, honestly, and it sounds maybe trite, or maybe it's one of those things we all know but we don't do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A couple of key hints for me. One, before any of my next interactions, maybe a next meeting, a big meeting, or a one-on-one, I think, okay, the intent of this is this. How do I want to show up? And am I really thinking about the person in addition to the result? I
Mm-hmm.
think relationships are a result.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what just happened, might have been horrible, but am I bringing my best to this?
The best
And I
self,
think my best self,
bringing my best self to this
my best that
conversation.
I can
Mm-hmm.
possibly do. The other thing
Mm-hmm.
I've done, frankly, is I've gotten in meetings and done a couple of things. I am so thrown off by my last meeting that I'm
Mm-hmm.
afraid I'm not going to be as present as I would like to be about this topic. You can't
Mm-hmm.
always do this. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you don't control everything, but could we reschedule?
Ah.
Or I've even found, let's say you and I are talking, and I found my mind way over here, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll say, Cami, I really apologize. I wasn't giving this my full focus. I was wandering. Could
Yeah.
we start over?
Just being honest and real. I mean, that's beautiful, because so often people are afraid to do that, but it really creates instant credibility of, okay, wait a minute, they are truly wanting to be present here. And it
It's I mean, you can't do it all the time because then they're like, are you ever present?
yeah.
And unfortunately, with some that I work with, it's so much more basic than that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I notice people saying I'm not getting the right connections that I need. And then during a conversation, they're looking at their phone, you
Mm-hmm.
know, oh, just a second. You're really important, Cami, but I do need to look at this.
Right. Right.
Or there's an IM, or there's something, there's just a real, I think we'll be more productive, we'll get better results in our organization, and we'll have more people contributing as we unleash them if we honestly can bring our mind, I used the word wisdom, to what we're having. And frankly, that's what we uniquely have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Big data sets, AI. I mean, pretty much I go to a group that talks about what tools to use for what. There are so many things that can make us more productive.
Right.
And what we can really bring is that ability, of course, to build the skill set to use the new tools, but
Right.
our own unique humanness.
Right. Yeah. So good. So good. So what's new and exciting coming down the FranklinCovey pipeline that, people should know about?
Well, there's a lot that's great about Franklin Covey. I mean, what I'm really excited about is the work we're doing in
Mm-hmm.
the areas that were mentioned today:
Mm-hmm.
trust, culture, leadership, um, execution on strategy, even sales. And we have a platform that we are measuring it all on.
Oh,
We have an
wow.
AI coach. We, of course, work person to person, in
Mm-hmm.
person, or in
Mm-hmm.
this mediated format. But we're really excited about what we're doing with clients, particularly those that need a global footprint, but
Mm-hmm.
small businesses as well. I
Yeah.
think we have unique content, and we have the ability to measure what people are doing and the impact. And we're really working on how your people strategy influences your business strategy.
Mm.
So, a lot of new things coming. We're constantly evolving and investing. And others that are doing this great work, I love as well, that are out in the universe, because all of us will move towards that positive arc together.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's the change that's being called for in our world right now. And I really do believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So where could people connect with you and just be in online or anything like that?
Well, the company itself
Uh-huh.
is easy to find at franklincovey.com. And I am on LinkedIn at Jennifer Colosimo, Colosimo, LinkedIn based out of Denver.
Excellent. Excellent. And then the final question I always close with is, what are 3 pearls of wisdom you'd like to leave with us today?
There's three. Okay, good. Number one, relationships, even in the workplace, are a result that help you get the results you're telling your stakeholders that you'll get, right?
Mm-hmm.
A relationship is just the same as that you made a sale or you really got impact with the client. So relationships are a result. Two, as you look at your career, your impact in the workplace, the more that you can ask yourself, do I need to answer the question, tell, or do I have an insightful question that will unleash another human? That's creating capability all over for us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And third, I would say don't be afraid. Of course, take the opportunity to learn the tools and maximize your own, but don't be afraid of new generative technology.
Yeah.
Know that you have something unique to bring with your wisdom. And part of what we talked about today will help you do that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I love it. I mean, I'm a big fan of AI. I mean, it definitely streamlines things for me. And I can spend more time with people in relationship because I free myself up from some of the other things. So it's,
Perfect use case.
yeah, totally, totally, totally. Well, Jennifer, it's been so much fun to see you. And, it's been, you and I sat on the board of the Women's Foundation together. And it's just great to see you again and catch up and see all the good work that you're putting out into the world. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Cami. And let's go do some more good work together. Let's find
That's right.
another thing we want to work on together.
I agree so much. Thank you.